great, massive millions of billions of light years, God sits in the midst of all of it. Amen. And He looks down. Paul is in there. My mother's in there. Somewhere looking down. And I thought of the order of that heavenly host. Not one of them's out of place. Every one keeps its time perfectly. God's great army. I thought of the soldiers. How that if that moon would happen to get out of order, the earth would be covered again with water just in a few minutes. The earth would be just like it was when God decided to use it to have us here on it. It was without form and void and darkness, and water was up on the breadth of the earth. If that moon would ever move, it would do the same thing again. When the moon rocks a little bit away from the earth, the tides come up. When it goes down, it just follows the tides. It's God's great army. When I thought about that being God's great army there, we went to bed, and then I began to think that not one of those get out of their place. They all set in place. And if there's a moving anywhere of them, it's for a cause and will affect this earth. We just see the results of it now, from some of them moving into their other spots. It's effective. It affects everything. And I thought then, if that great heavenly host like that has to keep its place to make everything in order, what about the disorder of the earthly host? How, when one gets out of order, how it throws the whole thing out of cater. The whole program of God is upset when one member gets out of order. We should continually to strive to keep the order of the Spirit. And I would to God this morning that we would bring this to a real healing service. That we could keep this group that we have gathered under the roof this morning in such a harmony that the Holy Spirit would place every member of the body that's here this morning in such harmony till there would be such a spontaneous healing of soul and body. If we'll just hold our positions. Now, as I said at the beginning, this lady who had the cancer that Dr. Holbrook was going to take off, now the God that caused a fluttering noise to come into that clinic and took that cancer without even leaving a scar. Don't you know that same God's here? And the only thing that He is waiting for is for His army to get their position. Like the stars. Get the position. Now, do you know we've had wars after wars and rumors of wars, and if the earth stands, we'll have plenty more wars. But do you realize that there is really only two powers in all of the universe? Of all of our differences between nations and differences between each other and everything, it all mounts up to two powers. There's only two powers and there's only two kingdoms. Two powers and two kingdoms. All the rest of little minor things are connected with either one of those powers. And those powers is God's power and Satan's power. That's what every war, every disorder, everything that comes along, it's either controlled by God's power or Satan's power, because that's the only two powers there is. And that is the power of life and the power of death. Now that's the only two powers. And Satan can only, his power he's got is a perverted power of God. It isn't no real power, it's a perversion of God's power. Everything that Satan has, death is only a perverted life. A lie is only the truth mistold. See? Adultery is an act misused, a righteous act misused. See? Everything that Satan's got is something that was perverted. But it's a power. And we are today sitting here, and one or the other power is going to control us. So let's cast out the evil one. Let's take our position like the stars of the heavens.